Welcome to the People's Choice Award podcast, brought to you in partnership with Tier 1 People and Fintech Australia. The Finnies, Australia's largest and most prestigious fintech awards, are fast approaching, and we want you to be part of it. Sponsored by the Victorian Government and major partners Vocus and SwiftX, the Finnies are a chance to celebrate the amazing people, incredible innovations, and remarkable resilience that the fintech industry is known for and built upon. Thank you to MasterCard for sponsoring and presenting the award for Emerging FinTech Organisation of the Year at this year's Finnies. We look forward to seeing everyone on the 9th of June in Melbourne, and don't forget to make your vote in the People's Choice Awards. I'm joined by Travis Tyler, and he's Chief Product and Marketing Officer for 86400, and they're up for Emerging FinTech of the Year. Travis, great to have you on the show.
Great to be here, Dexter.
Thanks for giving us some time. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about 86400?
Yeah, so 86400 is Australia's first smart bank, where we've been in market now for about a year and a half. We've got over 100,000 customers. And the way we describe ourselves is it's the best place to spend, save, own a home, and ultimately build momentum with your money. So we've got about 120 people now. And they've largely been with us for the start, and we're moving into our next phase of growth.
Fantastic. So there's a lot of, we've seen a few kind of neobanks emerge. What would you say kind of has been the differentiator between 86400 and some of the others?
Yeah, so for us, what's really worked for us, firstly, we were started by our CIO. And if you want to be in financial services in this day and age, you need to have deep understanding and capability in technology. And we have the luxury of having our backer as Cuscal, which meant that we could get really talented people from the start. And we've had the core people that are with us today are the ones that we started with 3 years ago. From a business model perspective, we started building deposits and lending at the same time. And I think COVID has reminded us all of Banking 101 that build it and they will come isn't sustainable, particularly if you want to get capital. And then the last one would just be a relentless focus on execution. So there's sort of key things that have really served us well. And then, having great people and culture. Culture eats execution for breakfast, not strategy.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to talk a bit more about the approach that 86400 has taken, because, being so kind of embroiled, not just in the fintech scene here in Australia, but also overseas, the US, the UK, and Asia. The kind of, the thing that always struck me when I could see the emergence of these neobanks, not to be smart or clever, was just that, hey, I can see there's going to be some headwinds here because we just have a smaller market here, and it's, the big four banks are doing a pretty good job. So the model that we've seen work in South America with Nubank, or the model that we've seen work in the UK with, say, Monzo and Revolut, wasn't necessarily going to be the right model here in Oz. And the approach that you've taken is, very different to those approaches. Can you talk us a little bit more through that and kind of how it's, what the thinking was behind that and how it's actually evolved?
Yeah, well, a good way to express it is capital raising, and I had the joy of doing that for the first time, and that is unforgiving. But there were really two investors. One which was show us when you're going to get to profitability and how you're going to do that, and then the other was just build as many customers as you can and then worry about profitability later.
Yeah.
Again, from the start, we chose to build a sustainable business. And we knew we never aimed to be a niche bank. We've always planned to, we wanted to be a genuine player, because that's how you're going to make genuine change in the industry. So having a sustainable business model, number one, and then the other was making sure that we had genuinely differentiated technology that was going to allow us to continue to build new experiences, but also what you expect from banking, to be better than anyone else. And look, we're not there yet. We will never be there, and that's something that drives us. But that was really important for us, the sustainability, but also making sure that we built a sustainable business as well, from both a technology and a business model and architecture perspective as well.
Now, one of the great, I guess, unintended consequences, or could have been an intended consequence of that approach, is the impact that you've had on the local fintech ecosystem as well. Do you want to kind of share with us a little bit about your approach to technology? Because it's had we've had other guests on the show that are, I guess, partners of 86400, and it's really created this cool ecosystem of Aussie tech and innovation.
Yeah, so we, as I said, the benefit of Brian Parker, who's our CIO, he's got 35 years experience in tech and banking, and the benefit of that has propelled us forward more so than most businesses globally in this space. But we made choices of what we were going to be great at, and it was what we call our customer experience engine, which sits in between the experience and what you would call core banking systems. And I'm putting core banking systems be obviously your standard system of record, or even Yodely, which we see as a core banking element for us. So we spent an enormous amount of time building what would differentiate us in terms of being able to scale at a low cost, being able to deliver better experiences, but also being able to move incredibly fast. So we deliver new features every fortnight, and we've done that since we launched. That technology element was critical, but we also, so then we decided, what are we going to be great at? But then wanted to make sure that we partnered with others that delivered something that would complement what we do, not duplicate, but also allow us to deliver great experience. And we build our architecture so it is modular, so we can swap things in and out. And we have done that since launch, whether it be our database or how we're doing biometrics. We also had a bias for independent and Australian fintech. So there's a variety of them that we work with, OCR Labs, Sympology, Loanworks. And these are people that have been with us since the start. And the beauty of that, and with obviously the acquisition of NAB and the partnership with Ubank that's coming forward for us, all those fintech partners are going to rise with us, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So overnight they'll get 10 times the volume when we bring the Ubank customers onto our platform. So it's great to sort of build something new that genuinely makes a difference to the customer and the industry, and then help those fintechs build their businesses as well. And then, the whole industry becomes stronger as a result.
Absolutely. There was a little bit of, I guess, kind of negative media when the announcement with NAB was made. What's been your view of how the merger with NAB and Ubank is going to take 86400 to the next level, and how's that actually going to benefit customers?
Yeah, so we've been very open in the media that we will be taking on the Ubank name, but all of the Ubank customers will be moving onto the 86400 technology and experience and ways of working. So from a customer perspective, you're not going to experience much difference in the early days, but what you will then experience is significant acceleration of product experience and service. So, as a result of the merger, we're bringing internet banking forward because we know that there is a desire and a need for a reasonable sized cohort of customers. We're going to be able to extend our call center hours, and then we'll be able to work on even more features faster because we're going to expand the number of Scrum teams that we have. So it is really positive for our customers and the experience they're going to see. And what we continue to say when it is raised, because it's not popular, because the big four, there's just the tall poppy syndrome in Australia. But the reality for us is our customers are going to get an even better service, a better experience, and more features more quickly. And they're going to continue to get the same great rates and fees. So we're really excited about the future, and we've asked our customers to judge us on what we do, not what we say, which is the way that we've acted from the start. And I'm sure there'll be a small cohort that will choose to bank elsewhere, and we wish them the best.
Yeah.
But those that stick with us will continue to experience what they've experienced for the last year and a half.
Now, on the other side of the equation, and this is where it's so challenging being in a startup. You've got investors that you've got to keep happy as well. I'm pretty certain that your early investors, Cuscal, will be really happy with the outcome in a fairly short period. And this is, I think another real success story for Aussie Fintech that's perhaps been overlooked by the media, is that at a time when, we've seen, unfortunately, Zinja have to hand back a license and really struggle, that on the flip side, there's this great story of how Cuscal have built something, invested in it, and now they're going to get a successful exit. For a very fickle investment market like Australia, I think this is also really kind of a story that kind of needs to get out there. But could you share with our listeners a little bit more about how that came about as well?
Yeah, look, I think this is over time. I'm hoping that this story is in MBAs of how to create.
I couldn't believe it. Right, the reaction. I was like, "This is awesome." Why is it being turned into a negative? Yeah.
There's a few different things you think about. They've been able to build, launch, run, and sell a business in about 3 years, and create something that is genuinely different and hugely valuable. That one of the big four banks has decided to augment that as their digital challenger rather than build it themselves. So all of the core elements of our business have either been built by us or largely are Australian fintech, or even those that they're even though they might be global, they're based here. And back to the Cuscal piece, the foresight and the discipline they had to create us as a separate business, bring in engineers and people with different backgrounds, and really give us enough rope to build the business and grow it and run it. And I've only got positive things to say about my experience with Cuscal, and obviously go forward, they're our payments processor and issuer, which they're the best at in the industry. So it's, as I said, I hope to see it in MBA case studies going forward of how to launch grow and launch an adjacent business and exit.
One of the other things that I think is kind of been key to the success has been the people that you got on board, and you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but what's been the approach to bringing on top talent?
Yeah, there's a few. So in the early days, it was challenging because we weren't public, and so you're asking people we made sure we got people with deep experience. We did actually also bring a lot of new to industry people in that have grown with the business as well and grown amazingly. But one of the things, once you get your culture right and the employee experience right, that does tend to be organic in a sense that people look to join you, and then secondly, from a recruitment perspective, which we're recruiting in the past couple of months and next few months, about 50 people on top of the sort of 90 we had about 3 months ago. And it has been a different experience this time for us. We do. And the other thing that's really important for us is that we work hard on our team and our collaboration, the tools we use, the Slacks of the world, Confluence, Jira. They're not buzzwords. They are actually how you drive genuine collaboration across teams and across your whole enterprise. So we all use those tools. It's not just tech or not just design and that sort of thing. Yeah. And then the other one is the benefit of joining an organisation like 86400 is you acquire skills in a year of what you would take 5 years to acquire elsewhere. And you also get the opportunity to be very broad. So if I look at our design team, for instance, that I work with, all our designers are Ts. So they might have a specialisation in interaction design, but they still do research, they do UI, they do experience design. And that there's a couple of different things there. So for experienced people, they get an opportunity to actually be a bit broader and have more variety in role. And then we've brought a lot of technology graduates on, and they love coming to 86400 because they get to work across the full stack. So DevSecOps, our core or the integration layer, and then the front end. And so across a year, they get to actually work in every part of the business from a technology perspective. And then they actually get to choose, okay, what did I like? What did I love? And it's very rare, and particularly in Australia and in banking, that you would get an opportunity as someone coming straight from university to get exposure, and what you're doing has a genuine impact on the customer.
And not only that, and I'm coming biased because the talent perspective, but the biggest challenge that we see from, there isn't a talent shortage. The talent's out there. What there is a lack of people who've been given that type of experience or have been part of a business that's had to scale. And I think, to see that you're actively going out there and giving graduates that opportunity, I mean, it's just fantastic for everybody else in the ecosystem, right? Because now what we're doing is we're growing a highly relevant, highly skilled talent pool.
Yeah, it's really important. We've made sure that even as we've grown, we've kept really flat structures, and it's important that you don't get too top heavy, because the reality is, in a business like this, and you'd be well aware, Dexter, that everyone needs to do regardless of who you are. Yeah. And so that's the other thing we do in terms of sort of attracting, developing and keeping talent. We are religious around making sure that people know what the expectations are going to be up front, and we're not for everyone. And if we do have challenges, we work with the individuals, but we make sure that that you're only as good as your weakest link, and you got to make sure that as an organisation, that your organisational IQ is growing every month and with every hire.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I think you and I caught up in the recording studio the day before Sydney went into lockdown.
I do, yes, I do.
2020. And we were talking on that podcast about how you'd seamlessly just switch to remote working, like flick of a switch. How's it been navigating and growing the business whilst you've had everybody dispersed?
Yeah, so there'll be three things I call out here. So firstly, we have a culture of high accountability, and that's personal accountability and your accountability to the outcome and to others. So, remote, whether you're in the office or elsewhere, people still make sure they get the job done first. And so that gives you the foundation for having a good remote working environment. The collaboration tools, I cannot underestimate, and we're having these conversations. So we're moving when our Ubank colleagues come into the business, and we work with them now. We're actually getting them on all the same tools. So that's Slack, Confluence, Jira, Trello, Zoom, and they are embedded in the way we work. So therefore, it lends itself to remote and being in different locations. And then the other one was we still see the benefit of face-to-face. So we moved to a hybrid model in I think it was about March. Once it was the government advice was you could go back in the office. So we're doing everyone's 2 to 3 days home and 2 to 3 days in the office, and we are seeing you do lose that those moments of serendipity when you bump into someone, or just sitting down. I was sitting down with our lead web engineer yesterday and sort of talk through, look, these are some of the things we want to solve. And I wouldn't have got that opportunity when we're working from home, or would have had to be a little bit more structured. Yeah. So it's some of that unstructured work and opportunistic that you miss, and then the other one is creative work. Yeah. Creative work, and not necessarily from a marketing perspective, but any kind of creativity or problem solving is more challenging when you're not face to face.
Cool. Now, this is the People's Choice Award, and it's a pretty special one for me because listeners to the podcast people in the fintech community, customers get to vote on this one if they want to. And I guess this is your opportunity to put out there why people should vote for 86400 in this year's Emerging Fintech of the Year award.
Yeah, so for 86400, the first thing I'd say is what matters most and what are you most proud of is our advocacy. So both app stores, we're 4.7 now, and our NPS is over 50. Our customers are loving our brand and product, and that means that we're doing what we set out to do, which was help people with their money, take control of their money and get more out of it. From a business perspective, our mortgages are now bigger than our deposits. There's very few neobanks globally that have achieved that, particularly in their first year and a half. And then the third one for us is our people genuinely love working at 86400. And, the pride when something goes live or there's comment in the App Store about something someone's done, I just love seeing that. And there's genuine ownership and pride right across the organisation, whether you're in risk, tech, marketing, product, design, or the call centre or operations. So that were the things we're most proud of. In terms of how we're making a difference, there's two elements I look at this. We're helping a large majority of Australians put $3,000 back in their pockets a year. Like, at the end of the day, money makes the world go round, and it can help people have better lives. So that's a big motivator for us at 86400. And then the other part that we're making a big difference is there's 25 plus fintechs that have partnered, taken a punt on 86400, and they're now going to rise even further with us with the merger with UBank, which we're really excited, and so are they. And then the last one for us is, what does the future hold? So we have an opportunity to get 1 million people to have $3,000 back in their pocket. And over the next 3 years, that's what myself and the rest of the team are really, really motivated on, because that has a societal impact.
What, $3 billion? That's a big number, right?
It's a big number, and we'd love to do it, because imagine the change that would make across society and just people on a daily basis.
Yeah. Travis, I've got to say, right, doing these podcasts, it has blown me away how much impact now fintechs are having on the economy and actually having on society. I mean, we're talking about significant numbers now. And, we always kind of had this dream of we're making a difference and we're going to change the world. It's actually happening now. And it's all down to businesses like 86400 and all the other finalists. I mean, it's just such a strong field of competition, and it's just testament to everybody that's in these finals. It's really, really gratifying to see.
Yeah, great. And look, for everyone, whoever the winners are, it is great. Congratulations. And to the Finnies, but also to yourself, Dexter, you make a really big difference to this ecosystem and give it a voice, which is a huge, and we love it.
Thanks, mate. Well, good luck to you and everybody at 86400 in the finals. Best of luck. And
vote for a company that has numbers in it. We'd love you to.
Thank you to MasterCard for sponsoring and presenting the award for Emerging Fintech Organisation of the Year at this year's Finnies. Thanks for your support in making the Finnies a reality. We look forward to seeing everyone on the 9th of June in Melbourne, and don't forget to make your vote in the People's Choice Awards.